And so the next one would be loop. So when we talk about loop, we are talking about doing one thing in multiple times, or running the same kind of code in multiple times. I don't know if that makes sense to you. All right. So we'll have a bunch of ways that we'll be doing this. Let's clear our code here, and these are the different bunch of ways we'll be doing it. Copilot is suggesting for me a lot of them. All right. So these are different ways we can look to do many things. I think what the one I might just add would be filter. So let me just add filter here. But aside that, we'll not be covering all of this, so please. All right. So the first one we want to look at is the for loop. So we have the for loop, we'll have the for off loop, we'll have the for in loop, we'll have the while loop, we'll have the do while, we'll have the for each, we'll have the map, and we'll have the filter. Now, I've explained some of these constructs inside of a different tutorial. I'll make sure I add a tutorial showing the difference between the map method, the for each method, and the map method. I also show the difference between the map method and the filter method. That would really give you a good understanding of how this works. So because I have that video, I would not be covering the for each and the map method. So make sure you check out that video in the next or maybe in the description, or I could add it here on the card. All right, so let's jump right into the for loop. All right, so this is how the for loop works. I've told you that the for loop is basically a way to write the same code over and over again. All right, so we'll just do a for, and inside of here we do a let I. We'll use I or index. A lot of people use I. So we are saying let I be equivalent to be equal to 0. Now this is like multiple lines of code that has been fit into one line. Now the next portion here, we are saying, okay, let I, while I is less than 10, while I is less than 10, we want to increase I one step at a time. So I plus plus. Now at this point, what we now want to do is to do something while this is happening. So what we can do is to log to the console.log I. So we are doing the same code over and over again. So let me run this code, and then let me show what happens. It's to show us 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We could start this from a 1 if we do I plus 1 here, something like this, and then we run it again, and it gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But if we didn't write this short code, this is what we will have done. All right, so let's do a console.log. So we'll start with a 1, and then we'll have to copy and paste this over and over and over again. So so this is what I'm talking about. So we have to paste this like this. So imagine having to paste this so many times, as you can see on the screen. If you have to do this and do this for something really big, you see that you might run into an error. But even if you don't run into an error the first time, how about when you come back and want to fix something? That means you have to fix it for all of them. So you see why having the loop construct here really makes a lot of sense. So this is just one way that you can do it. Let's also try it with something else. So let's do it with a for off loop. So basically what differs among these things is how the syntax, basically. That's what really differ among them. So let's do let I of 10, then let's console the log I like that. Now I'm supposed to const, let's make this a number and pass the 10 to it. All right, usually we'll use an array, so let me better use an array here. All right, so we just want to list out whatsoever number we already have here. So we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 10 like that. So I messed up here. All right, num. So now let's try to run this code again, and let's comment this one out to make sure that it doesn't work. So let's run this code again. I see that it gives us exactly the same thing. Now I could choose to even manipulate this code at this point. So we could choose to do a multiplication here. So let's multiply every number by 2. All right, so let's run it again. I notice that every number has been multiplied by 2. So 1 multiplied by 2 gives us 2. 2 multiplied by 2 gives us 4. 3 multiplied by 2 gives us 6. Down up to 10 multiplied by 2, which gives us 20. All right, now the next one would be the for-in loop. Now the for-in loop is it basically gives us the index of a particular number, or sorry, of a particular part of the array that is given to us, something like that. So this time around, let me use maybe places, lists of places. So we'll just pass in a bunch of places here, maybe places or countries, something like that. So let's do, say for example, Nigeria, Ghana, I could also pass something like Togo. This is fine. So let's try the for-in, so that we'll be able to get the index of each of these places in the array. All right, this will also help you to understand how array works. So usually array starts from the number 0, then 1, then the last part, which we have here, which will be 2. So it is not a 1 2 3, but it is a 0 1 2, like that. So we already have the code being written for us here. So it is for, and open braces like this, and say let I in places, let's log console the log I. So when we return what we have here, it should give us what are we having? Oh, these are supposed to be strings, by the way. Let's make sure these are strings. Once they are string, they need to be inside of a quote. So let's run this code again, and we should have 0 1 2 3. These are the indexes of each of these items inside of this array. If you would love to get what is inside of this array, then you need to explicitly call for it. So let's come down here, and then let's look at places I, like that. All right, and once we do that, let's run the code again. And so we have 0, which is the index of Nigeria, 1, which is the index of Ghana, and 2, which is the index of Togo. Awesome. This is awesome. All right, so this is how for-in works. Now the next one we want to look at is while, and then the other thing we want to look at is do while. So we could say something like, okay, let's I be equal to 0. Now while I is less than or equal to 10, keep adding to the number. So we want to do I plus plus. All right, then we'll log to the console what I it's at that time. So console the log I, like that. So let's run this again so that you understand what's going on. So from the beginning, I is equal to 0, and then we are now saying that this code will run as long as I is less than or equal to 10. So at each point that it checks, is I less than 10 or equal to 10, and it says no, you run this code. Each of this time you keep running the code until it checks and it says that, okay, the value of I is now equal to or less than 10. Now if it checks and it says that, okay, this code is still equal to 10, then to run one more time, and that's when you get 11. So once you get 11, it comes back again and check, is this I less than or equal to 10? Then none of those conditions are true, then it will stop running. Now if you want it to stop at 10, you need to keep this at less than 10. So you run it again, and then this time around you'll be able to get 10. Awesome. Now we can do the same thing for do while. So do this while this is happening. So the difference is that you call the code that would be run first before you put in the condition. So what it means is this while would have to move down here while you put the do here. So it is called do while. So what it also means is that there will be a little disparity in the code that we'll get. All right. So this is for do while. So this is the code you use for this, and this is what it does. At every point, it carries out a particular operation before it checks for the condition. All right. So first of all, what it does is it adds I++, which is increasing I by 1, and then it now checks, okay, is this particular I still less than 10? So if it is less than 10, it continues to run through like that. And when it increases and comes to check if I is still less than 10, and you notice that, okay, I is equal to 10, it stops working. So that's how the conditional statement here, sorry, not conditional, the looping construct here works. All right. So that is it.